So let's now have a look at the global tab. So here we have a few different sections. We have the chaos section, we have the unison section, the preferences, and the oscillator section. So we looked at the chaos section earlier. Basically, these are two LFOs that have a slightly different sound. We can set them up in the mod matrix and they create kind of a chaotic sounding LFO, which is why they're called chaos. Okay, let's go down and have a look at this unison section here. So the left side is for oscillator A and the right side is for oscillator B. So we can change these settings independently, or we can use these arrows here to change them both at the same time. So the first one says range. So this is actually for detuning. So the default is 2 or 2 semitones. 2 semitones is a good one to leave it on because it will make the detuning sound like a nice chorus effect. If it's any bigger than that, it will just sound a little bit too untuned. But let's have a listen now. I'm just going to go back to the oscillator. I'm going to choose analog and basic shape. Just going to choose the sine wave. And let's add a few voices on. Okay, now if we go to the global and increase the range to say 12, you can just hear it's a little bit too out of tune really. Could be useful for an effect, or if you want to make some more creative sounds, you could really detune this a lot more if you wanted to. But I'm going to leave this on 2. Okay, going down we have width. So 0 will be mono. And 100 will add more stereo width. Going down here we have warp. So for this to work, we need to have a warp mode actually selected. So let's select one of these warp modes. I'm going to use asymmetric plus. So when we increase warp here, each voice will get a different amount of warp. And we also have negative values as well. So the voices, apart from the first one, the main one, will get different values. Going down, we have WT position or wavetable position. So with this, each voice will get a different wavetable position. So let's just choose a more complex wavetable. Let's try this one here, monster. So if we click on the 3D view here, you can see it's a lot more complex than the basic shapes. So going back to global, if we increase this number, the wavetable position, each voice will get a different wavetable position. Okay, going down we have stack. So this allows us to choose different pitches for different voices. So let's have a look at some of these. If we have this one here 2 times, we will need more than 2 voices. But you can basically hear how the different voices have different octaves. We have a few more as well. We have 3 times, which will be 3 octaves up. Then we have 12 add 7, so this would add a 5th as well as an octave. And we have 12 times 2 add 7, so 2 octaves up. And we have a few more as well, center. So this will give us an octave below. So center 12 will give us 1 octave below. And then center 24, 2 octaves below. Let's just turn this off for now though. Okay, then we have mode. So this is about how the voice is actually detuned. The default is linear, which we've been working with. And so this means the voices are equally detuned. Okay, going down we have super. This is kind of in between linear and exponential. But basically what it means is the inner voices are more in tune and the outer voices are more out of tune. So let's just have a look at the tuning here. You can tell by the voicing here. The outer voicings have more spaces than the inner voicing. Let's just change this back to linear. You'll notice they're equally spread apart now. And if we go back to this and change this to exponential, So here, the outer voices will be even more out of tune compared to the inner voices. So if we look at this now, you can tell by the gaps. Okay, the next one is inverse. This is the opposite of exponential. So basically, the inner voices are more out of tune and the outer voices are more in tune. Let's just look at the detune as well. You can tell the outer voices are closer together and the inner voices are further apart. Okay, then we have random, and this will detune these voices randomly. Okay, going over, we have the preferences. Here we can change the default waveform from 2D to 3D. So this one here. I like to have it 2D as a default, but if you find the 3D one a bit more useful, maybe you can change the default here. So we can hide the piano keyboards at the bottom. There's a few more as well. You can disable the help, and you can disable showing the values when adjusting controls, but I like to have these on just in case. Okay, going over, we have the oscillator settings. So here we can enable or disable pitch tracking for the different oscillators. So if you want to create something a bit more percussive and you don't necessarily want it to follow the pitch of the keyboard, you can disable the pitch tracking here with either oscillator A or B. We also have the tuning here if you want to change the tuning. Also change the oversampling if we wish. You can change it to 1 if you want. It will lower the sound quality. And 4 times won't really make that much difference. Maybe for a few of the warp menus in FM mode, but that's about it. So I'll just leave that on 2 times. You can also fine tune the noise oscillator pitch here if you want to as well, because in the noise oscillator, we do have some semitonal controls, but we can also fine tune it here if we wish. Okay, so that's an overview of this last tab, the global settings. I hope you found this useful, and I'll talk to you soon.